Amanda Silver. I'm the head of product for Microsoft's developer division. That's the team that brings you guys Visual Studio, Code, TypeScript, .NET, and our Azure application platform. I'm also the general manager for Microsoft's internal engineering systems. So we build the tools and the infrastructure that powers all of the development at Microsoft. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today with all of you in person so that we can talk about how everyone's developer experience is going to be getting radically better with the power of the cloud and artificial intelligence. Now, I've devoted my career to developers because the future always starts with developers. It's developers that determine the speed of innovation. And over the past 20 years of my career, I've seen software development really change dramatically. When I first started coding, it was really pretty simple. You set up your local dev machine, you installed all of the right IDE and all of the SDKs that you needed, you copied all of your binaries, and you had local servers that you deployed to that allowed you to manually test and debug your application. And when I talk about that now, it kind of sounds like the dark ages of development, right? It was a lot of manual labor, digital manual labor, but manual labor nonetheless. But the result is that developers are overwhelmed by complexity. They face constant interruption, and they continually have to context switch between tools, which impacts their cognitive load and their ability to focus. Now, we see on average that developers only spend about 2 hours a day coding, and it takes them 23 minutes to regain regain focus after context switching. And all of this makes developers exhausted at the end of their day, and further, it's extremely inefficient for their organizations. And there's a tension there. The organizations really want their developers to be efficient, but they also need to ensure that the software that they build is secure, it's compliant, and it's hitting the quality expectations of the end users. So the question really becomes, how can the organization optimize software development lifecycle? And the answer is to focus on the developer experience. Focusing on those moments that matter, everything from setting up your dev box, the time it takes to go from writing your first line of code to contributing to the main code base, the cycle time that's required to check your code change for quality, or fixing a security bug, or responding to the issues found in production. All of those moments really matter to the developer's day. And it requires a product mindset to be applied to the developer experience end to end. Focusing on those jobs to be done from the developer's point of view really helps to identify which systems and tools need to be integrated. And it allows you to ultimately deliver a seamless experience from dev all the way through to ops. This reduces context switching, it improves response time, and it empowers developers, and ultimately it crushes the time that it takes to go from an idea to the cloud, delivering better end-user satisfaction, which allows your businesses to grow more quickly. Now, since the days of MS-DOS Basic, Microsoft has always been a developer company. But over the past decade, we've continued to really double down on developers, building the most beloved code editing tools. More than 40 million developers use the Visual Studio family of products every month. And GitHub is the home for the open source community. And Azure is consistently rated the #1 choice of PaaS products. We're also the largest tech company in the world, with tens of thousands of engineers internally, IT operators, security experts, and we have a globally distributed team. So in a lot of senses, we are customer zero for our tools and products. We continually obsess over how to make our teams more efficient so that we can improve the developer experience and eliminate the operational toil. So we stitch together the Microsoft Developer Platform into an end-to-end developer experience that's self-serve, compliant, and secure, and it's powered by the cloud with AI assistance throughout. Now, during this session, we're going to show you all about how the developers at Microsoft and you and your team can achieve more dev and less ops, more focus and less frustration, more intelligence and innovation, and less iteration. So first, I want to dive into how we're approaching optimizing the individual developer experience. And what I really mean by that is how the latest additions to our tools and our services can improve the day-to-day lives of software developers, freeing them up so they can focus on the more creative aspects of product making. Now, developer productivity this year has been absolutely disrupted by our favorite AI pair programmer, our GitHub Copilot. Today, there are over 1 million developers on the paid version of GitHub Copilot across multiple industry segments, geographies, and technology stacks. And our customers are seeing that up to 46% of the code that their developers are now writing when they use Copilot are written with the help of Copilot. And our studies show that Copilot enables faster coding by up to 55%. But the real clincher here is that developers working with Copilot are not only more productive, they're happier and they're more fulfilled. That's really what it's all about. So I'd like to welcome Felicia to show us how GitHub Copilot allows her to get into Dev Zen mode.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm super excited to show what Copilot can do. So if we bring up, perfect, great. So I'm fairly new to this eShop project, and I've been assigned a task where I need to perhaps look at the way we're processing items in this catalog and make some improvements here. So this shouldn't be a hard task, really, but I want to get to it quickly and understand the code base so I know what goes where. One of the first things I like to do when I'm in a situation like this is to open GitHub Copilot chat and use it to orient myself, right? Today I'm going to show you a new feature in Copilot where you have new code base awareness with the relevant solution context so that you can help it with your search. I'm going to start now trying to utilize Copilot to help me navigate where I need to go. So I'm going to say, where in the eShop solution, and here I'm going to use a reference to this new feature, which is the solution context, is the catalog of items being generated. So what exactly is Copilot going to do with this? Well, Copilot is going to use a combination of different technologies. It's going to use semantic search, local indexing, as well as lexical searching. Then the language intelligence of Visual Studio is going to come into play. So we're going to have information related to documentation, functions, parameters, which helps provide additional context. Now, all of this information is ranked, sliced, and summarized for you to get precise answers and suggestions of where to start in the code base. You can see over here that it's giving me a pretty neat place to start. The Get Catalog View Model Service or the Get Catalog Items seems like the place that this catalog of items is processed. Great. This really makes Copilot feel like a true expert of my code base, which is super interesting and cool. Now, it looks like Copilot is also giving me references of where this information is processed from. Now, this just gives me a little bit more ease and control over what data is being sent to Copilot.
Yeah, I mean, in some senses, like you're joining a team as maybe a junior developer learning about this code base, and you might be kind of embarrassed to ask a more senior developer how to get oriented, but you can really ask Copilot in this case.
Absolutely, it's a real true pair programmer for you. So speaking of control, we also have some additional ways to specifically tell Copilot which file I want to refer to in other relevant parts of your project. For instance, I can specifically refer to this Catalog View Model Service class if I wanted to. But what's even cooler is that I can make my prompt crafting more powerful by using specific commands, again, a new feature that we've added. You can do this by simply putting a slash here, and you can see the list of commands available to me that you can use to specify to Copilot the exact intent of what you need to do. Today, I want to use the explain command. So I'm going to click on explain, and then using this reference thing that with the hash, I'm going to write up catalog view model service, and the IntelliSense picker is going to help me. Model service.
So it not only answers your questions, but it also helps you formulate those questions themselves.
Yes. And then I'm going to send this along the way. And over here, Copilot is going to analyze this query, compile information about the file and all the contextual know-how, and it's going to pull out the relevant things, in more detail, right? So it's talking about the get catalog items method, is responsible for fetching and processing catalog items. This looks great. But what's even cooler is you can also see Copilot's language intelligence at play. You see all the highlights over here? They're all the real parts of your code. And when I clicked on that, it opened this up in the Visual Studio all-in-one search. So it's very integrated.
So you actually get, full reference navigation embedded in the context of the answer from GitHub Copilot.
So
That's awesome.
It's contextual to where you are. So I'm going to click on this and continue into this file because this seems to be the right place for me to get started. But before I go there, I wanted to mention some other interesting news. Since last October, GPT-4 now serves all our chat panel responses. However, we're not simply switching. We're also using other models like 3.5 Turbo, and the speed of 3.5 Turbo complements the intelligence of GPT-4. This multi-model approach really helps balance that cutting-edge AI, but the feel of a lightweight, responsive tool. Okay, so now back to the task at hand. I'm looking at this file, and Copilot told me get catalog items seems like the right method to start at. So I'm going to pull up Copilot inline here. And you notice that Copilot follows you in flow, which is super neat. And I'm going to ask, hey, perhaps is there any kind of sorting happening here? Because that seems like an easy optimization to add. So I'm going to say, are items in this method being sorted? Cool. It seems like Copilot answers that there is no sorting, and I did suspect that. It's giving me ideas of how I can do that. It's doing some filtering, but no sorting. So I'm going to now ask Copilot, I'm going to iterate and ask, can you add sorting? Actually, I'm going to say, can you sort these items by name? Cool. So based on what I asked Copilot, it pulled in a lot of simple definitions from the surrounding code. It also looked at where I was in my method, and it provided a really neat and fast suggestion in this interactive diff view.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's all in your flow. This diff view is, you can hover on it. It has autocompletes. It's just like your editor. Now, if I wanted to, I could also iterate in line here and ask you to modify that. But this seems like a good enough suggestion. I'm going to accept it. But I still need to iterate a little bit because it looks like it gave me a duplication here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to paste it right here. This seems to be the right place to paste it. And this seems to be a duplication of something that's there. But this looks good. It gave me an order by name. And I'm going to pull up Copilot once again and document this change, because I like leaving the code nicer than I found it, get some brownie points from my team. So I'm going to pull up the slash commands again, and you'll see that there's a documentation slash command here. And I'm going to say, can you document changes to this method and how the catalog of items is being sorted and filtered. Now, I really like slash commands because it allows me to really choose all sorts of things that I can do and give me accurate answers when needed. Oh, looks like it opened up a really nice block of additional.
That's awesome.
Document.
So that's pretty good documentation, not just at the function level, but also kind of inline in the code, explaining each step.
Yep, it's pretty cool. It's giving me a doc block with parameters and also comments in line. So I'm going to accept this. And this seems to be a good change that I've added. But guess what? I have a little surprise for all of you. This entire time, I was operating inside a DevBox. With DevBox, my team not only has a default image that has all our go-to tools pre-installed, but also the ability to sync all my extensions, settings, and Visual Studio so I could get started super easily and could be successful super quickly. And yeah, that's about it.
That's what it's all about. And thank you, Felicia. So that represents basically what is the kind of standard developer experience that we are rolling out inside of Microsoft. Now, last week at GitHub Universe, we announced that Copilot chat capability is coming and will reach general availability for Visual Studio and VS Code in December. Now, with Copilot chat in the code editor and in the CLI and in github.com and in the mobile app, Copilot has really become ubiquitous throughout the software development lifecycle. So that means that there's no additional tool that you need to interface with. It meets you where you are in your existing workflow. Now, in her demo, Felicia was contributing to a new project that's written in .NET. This week, in fact, yesterday at .NET Conf, we announced that .NET 8 is also now generally available. Engineered for performance, this is the fastest version of .NET ever, optimizing across all workloads with a particular focus on cloud-native architectures and container-first workflows. With over 1,250 performance enhancements, the folks on the .NET team have really lovingly crafted this release to make it truly irresistible. And I guarantee that upgrading your application is going to improve the performance of your app. And as for building .NET applications, there is no better place to do that than in Visual Studio, the most powerful IDE on the planet. And today, we're proud to announce the general availability of Visual Studio 2022, version 17.8. Now, this new version of Visual Studio is our best yet, with GitHub Copilot, your AI pair programmer standing by, with .NET 8 support, and it also gets the most out of the best of what Windows has to offer as a dev box, with support for WSL2 and DevDrive, and a new experience to review all of your pull requests that makes it easier for you to collaborate with all of the other devs on your team. Now, Felicia revealed that everything in her demo happened on a Microsoft Dev Box, which is really dev infrastructure service that's built on Azure that offers developers self-serve, ready-to-code, project-specific developer workstations that are centrally managed, that are secure, and that are optimized for your environment. Now, we've been rolling this out to over tens of thousands of our own engineers inside of Microsoft, and we've been super pleased with the positive feedback. It's really become a critical service for us, so I think that means it's also ready for you as well. Now, configuring the developer environment is really challenging, even if you have a pre-built image with most of your tools already installed. More than likely, you're going to still need additional tools to add to that environment. Now, in Microsoft DevBox, you can provide config as code that will go beyond those pre-built images, installing tools at the user level, running additional scripts, and even cloning the latest version of your source code. So that means that there's no need for you to do further git fetch or pull after requesting a DevBox. It's already perfectly customized, it's personalized with your settings, and it's ready for you to code. Now, the service went GA last July, and today I'm excited to announce new capabilities in public preview that are going to make it even easier for organizations to standardize on Microsoft DevBox. You can limit the number of dev boxes each developer can create within a project so that you can manage costs more easily and ensure the efficient use of resources. You can simplify the network setup and eliminate the need to create and configure and secure virtual networks with Microsoft-hosted networks. And then you can leverage pre-configured images that have everything that you need so that you are ready to code. And now in private preview, there's functionality for IT admins and for development teams so that they can configure and deploy dev boxes using quick create templates so they can get started really quickly. You can read the DevBox at Ignite blog to learn more about all of these new features. And bringing it all together, we have Visual Studio 2022, which has been optimized for Microsoft DevBox, with features like single sign-on, unified settings, pre-populated caches, and auto-install extensions for Visual Studio, like GitHub Copilot and the Azure Developer CLI, which means that you can really have a single image that you start to standardize on across your team, across your organization, so that everyone can get started fast. But while this allows you to standardize on this solution, as we've done at Microsoft, so that you have consistency and you have easy management, so that you can ensure that the developer experience is optimized for your particular code base and your team, every dev can get started really quickly. But we also know that is not the only thing that you need to be able to write your applications. Now that we've started to talk about the individual developer experience that's cloud-powered and AI-assisted, let's talk about how we can accelerate the entire team in the outer loop. A great place to start thinking about the context of how to improve the developer experience is in the traditional DevOps loop. Now, our comprehensive tools and platforms offer extensibility, customizability, and modularity. And that allows you to streamline the processes so that you can automate DevOps and you can create robust developer infrastructure with secure, compliant, and governed environments for your application infrastructure. Now, our code editors and our DevOps platforms are really used by a vast majority of developers worldwide. So that really makes it the most natural place for you to focus on building the best developer experience and fostering collaboration and development across both your dev and your operations teams. Now, we call our approach to platform engineering self-service with guardrails. We aim to provide development teams with autonomy, with automated, friction-free workflows that ensures that we can uphold governance and policy for security, quality, and cost management. Now, just today, this morning, I'm excited to announce the launch of a new Microsoft Learn site that will help you navigate the world beyond DevOps and join us in the journey of platform engineering. We're sharing all the lessons learned from Microsoft's own journey towards platform engineering, how you can get all of these great tools to work together, and all of the invaluable best practices that we've learned from working with our teams, from working closely with our customers, with a lot of actionable steps that can really help you along this path today. Now, for those of you who want to dive deeper into platform engineering and you want to join a community of those who are tackling similar challenges and gain early access to new tools and services, we invite you to join our platform engineering user group at aka.ms/platenglearn. Now, as you embark on your own platform engineering journey, you're probably going to encounter 3 key motions, and this is how we think about our work inside of Microsoft as well. Start Right focuses on equipping your developers with self-service tools, and that enables them to kickstart projects quickly while ensuring that they're adhering to your company's best practices that are defined through templates and policies. Stay Right is all about maintaining compliance as your projects grow and ensuring that developers continue to follow those best practices via continuous automation and monitoring and shifting left into the developer tools, into the developer experience. Finally, Get Right campaigns assist developers in bringing their existing DevOps infrastructure, their code, their applications into compliance within your company's evolving standards. But really, let's acknowledge that the best compliance work really feels free to the developer. It's automated, it's invisible, it's so ingrained into the tools and processes that much of it is really embedded. So let's see this in action end to end. Now, you all know there's a lot more to building an application than just setting up the necessary SDKs and a personal dev box. A complete engineering system involves compliant CI/CD pipelines, test infrastructure, and cloud-native applications have complex dependencies. How complex? This complex. If I was a new developer joining the team and I had to set this up all by myself, it would be pretty easy for me to make a mistake or open up a security hole. And the enterprise I work for probably doesn't want me to have this much control over my resources. It's also not exactly how I want to be spending my time. So with Azure deployment environments, you can quickly spin up app infrastructure using project-based templates, ensuring consistency and best practices and security. It's all about providing on-demand, secure environments while adhering to your software development lifecycle in a compliant and cost-efficient manner. So let's see it a little bit in action. Starting with the dev infrastructure, platform engineers curate environment templates, and they map projects to Azure subscriptions and identities and permissions based on the environment type. From there, dev teams then assign developers the templates that they need to work on the projects. Developers can then deploy those environments on demand through a dev portal or through the CLI. Or they can have them automatically be deployed through their CI/CD pipelines via Git changes. But regardless of how the environment is deployed, the resources are automatically routed to the relevant Azure subscription, whether that's test or deployment or pre-production or production. Now, one of the most often ignored and most challenging dimensions of driving consistency and standardization from test to continuous deployment to operations, all of that is really hard to get right. So now I'd like to introduce you to Shane, who's going to show you how you can empower your developers to start right and stay right when building and deploying applications on Azure. Right. Welcome, Shane.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, so to get a jump on our competition ahead of Thanksgiving and Black Friday, we have our eShop on web here, and our marketing team has asked us to add a little message here in the top left here. It says all of our t-shirts are on sale for the weekend. Now, they may seem like this is a small change, but as you know, even small changes can make big issues when it comes to accessibility and security and privacy. So we need to make sure that we adhere to those guardrails that you mentioned in the previous slides there. So fortunately, my team, my platform engineering team, has set us up for success, and we have a dev box, which I had to come up early and make sure we were logged into, and that's ready to go with all the tools like Visual Studio, Git, the Azure Developer CLI, and those templates. And the project here was created using that Start Right template. So what I'll do here, that means I can go in, I can self-serve that infrastructure and that big scary diagram that you had up there, and make sure that my deployment environments in Azure are set up with that Developer CLI that can quickly deploy my code. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to Git here where this project is hosted, and I'm going to go ahead and start a new branch here, and we'll just call this Update Cart.
It doesn't look like that's working.
Oh, I got to focus on that. Sorry about that. Yeah, wouldn't be a demo if it wasn't real. Update cart 38. And when I create a new branch, what this is going to do here is I've got a couple of actions here. And part of that template here, it'll set up my environment. It creates a new dev environment for us here. And what this action does is it creates that new Azure deployment environment for each feature branch as well as those pull requests. And what that helps me do is isolate my work as well as my team's work so that we don't affect anything that's in the live.
So you don't need to write all of the YAML to get everything provisioned for you?
No, I don't have to know about any of that stuff. So what this allows me to do as a developer is just check in code, right? And because this was a feature branch, I didn't have to worry about a test environment. We'll do that for PRs, okay? And as part of that here, if I scroll down, let's focus here, getting a little bit of delay, scroll down here, you can see that we've got our dev environment set up. It's set up and deployed our website using the Azure Development CLI. We can look at the resources in the portal if I want to.
So it's not just the source code and the CI pipelines, but it's also resources?
That's right. So using the integration with AZD, the Azure Developer CLI, it actually takes that template and will actually provision all those infrastructure needs that I need in Azure on my behalf. I don't even have access to the subscription. I don't even have to know what subscription I have. So it just does it for me. Now, if I wanted to look at it, to see those big scary things, these are all the resource groups that we have here. So I've got multiple databases. I've got a Key Vault, app service plan, deployment scripts. I don't need to know about any of that stuff.
That's awesome. You can just focus on the code.
I don't want to know about it. I just want to write code, right? So let's go back over here to our thing here. And this has set up that environment for me. I can set up AZD to set that platform to know that I'm working with a dev center, and I've already done that. And here's that environment that's set up for me. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this here, and I'm going to jump over into Visual Studio. So here's Visual Studio. I've got my eShop code here, and I'm going to go ahead and run this command. And a couple of things will happen here. It's going to set up all of the environment variables and connect my, that's not good. Guess what? We did a release of AZD today, so what that will do is it actually sets me up for success when it comes to setting up my environment. So it's connected me to that environment up in the cloud. Okay, so I can make my changes to the code. It'll do my my AZD. If I do AZD, not ASD, we're going to do AZD. env select env get values on here, and you'll see that we've got all of the right connection points, connection strings, our key vault connections, what location I'm in. Again, all that stuff we showed up in Azure, but again, I don't have to know any of that stuff.
Awesome.
So that's great. So that's pretty awesome. I don't have to know about any of those things. And I've already made some changes to the code. I've made some changes to the basket view model. And here's that index file that I needed to make that change for that image. So I've already done that here. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to Git and move this out of the way so I can see what I'm looking at. And we'll go to Git here. And I'll just write update cart. And we'll go ahead and push that or commit it. All right. So I'm going to jump over to do a fast forward where I've already done the commit and the PR. So let's jump back over here. And we'll see that I've done a banner update for the weekend sale. We've kicked off some actions. The deployment's been successful. And I can see right now that I've got some Playwright tests that have failed.
Big red.
Big red stuff, right. So if you don't know what Playwright is, it is our end-to-end testing for modern web apps. We're heavily invested in this here. It runs any browser, any platform, a one API model, and it runs across all of our browsers. We have Chromium, WebKit, and Edge, and all of those things there. And it can run headless, Mac OS, and it's also across all the languages, so .NET,
Awesome.
Java, TypeScript, et cetera. Right, so that's really great. So I can go back and look at this test here, and you can see that I've run across Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, et cetera. But you'll notice that the total time for this took about 51 minutes. Now, obviously, we didn't take 51 minutes to do this.
Yeah,
It's
it seemed to
it's a
happen
website.
pretty fast.
Pretty site, yeah, exactly. So what we're using here for that is we're using the Microsoft Playwright testing service, right? Now, the part of that testing service, we are able to kind of do all of our testing across 50 browsers, and we can actually do use the service here to accelerate our testing, go across multiple and parallel systems. Now, I could do some fancy things in GitHub Actions, and I could do some sharding and do some fancy things, but it's only going to get us so far. Right? By doing a little config change, I can take advantage of the Playwright testing service and really accelerate that there. So if I go back to our report here, this is our Playwright testing report, you can see that we had 55 minutes of testing across 40 web browsers.
So that's the aggregate compute time is 55 minutes
Right.
across 40 different workers.
Right, and it only took us 1:52.
That's awesome.
Right.
And that's an amazing developer inner loop right there.
Right, and I didn't have to do it on my machine. It just runs. It's integrated with my CI pipeline, and I only had to make one little config change, and it was ready to go. All right, so let's look at the details of one of those actual tests that failed and see what happened. Now, I'm trying to make sure that we're good in accessibility and security and all those things. At least for this one particular change, we would have to make sure we ran accessibility tests across all of those things to be compliant. So again, it says this in my basket page here. And if I look here, it says, hey, I should have called out images. All my images basically should have alt tags.
Yeah, that's kind of a basic accessibility requirement.
Yeah. Sorry for the miss on that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back into Visual Studio, go in here, and sure enough, I missed the alt tag here. So I was paying attention in Felicia's demo, and I'm going to ask Copilot how to do that. I've been an API developer for a long time. I don't even know how to do front-end stuff anymore. So I'm going to say, can you add alt tag with all t-shirts on sale, not slay. You do want to slay. Sale this weekend. All right, let's see what happens here.
Wow.
We're waiting. Come on, Copilot. It's a demo.
All right. Come on, Copilot.
There we go. So
wow.
in this particular case, it actually generated an eraser file. Nevertheless, it's going to give us some assistance here. You'll see it does that side-by-side comparison. So I'm going to look like Felicia showed. Said, oh yeah, look at that. Great, that's what I need. I'm actually just going to copy all of this here. We'll do a little Control A and a Control C here. I'm going to close that. At least it gave me the right answer, right? So that looks pretty good. I'll save that. Awesome. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, updated.
Shane,
Yeah.
you know how I liked Felicia documenting her code? I also like documented commit message.
But that's not good enough. It's updated. All right, fine. So if we look in Copilot Chat, we now have a new feature. And this is going to say add generated commit message. I'm actually going to say, let's generate a PR commit. And let's see what it says. This should analyze my code and say, what did you actually do? And let's just do a little Control plus here.
Wow.
And see what it said. Look
So
at that.
it's not only kind of describing exactly what change was made, but it's actually describing the likely reason why that change was
Yeah,
made.
it says the most significant changes we added an alt attribute to the image tag, but it says providing a description of the image. I think if we scroll down, it should even tell me assistive technologies, which
screen
are
readers.
screen readers and things like that.
That's
That's
awesome.
pretty great, right? So we say, yep, thanks for that. I definitely would type far less than that, like updated. So we'll do a commit and we'll do a push on that. So far more acceptable, I think, when it comes to PRs. I don't know how many of you have seen that just said updated or added. Not very helpful, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'll fast forward again, because we've done that a couple of times. I think I'm at 38 right now. And I'll go back to that banner update and see where we're at. So again, we've done that commit. I've done, my deployment's been successful. We've got all of the things here, and look at that, our Playwright tests have passed. We could look at that Playwright service. We've run 900 tests in a minute and change over there. I can actually look at my catalog. We can go here and look at that. We've got our there, and I've had to do my inspect on that. I bet it did exactly what my code change does. And we have all t-shirts on sale this weekend.
Awesome.
Now, the good thing is here, thankfully, as a developer, I didn't have to install any software. I didn't have to worry about Azure resources. My platform engineering team set me up with that stay right, templates. And then when I get when I merge all this here, it's going to burn down all that infrastructure and make sure that I'm not spending too much money in Azure or my cloud.
That's awesome. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane. So that just showed you how the platform engineering team can really kind of set you up for success as a developer. So you can focus on the developer experience, the coding, but really all of the compliance checks, all of the quality checks are kind of already built in. Now, one of the things that Shane showed you there is that we have an exciting update for two of the tools that he showed you that we GA'd earlier this year. But the new update is that we've really aligned the Azure Developer CLI with Azure deployment environments. So now that these two tools are aligned, it means that no matter what tool the developer uses, the CLI, the Dev Center portal, or extensions in their code editor, all of those actions will result in the same underlying action in the underlying infrastructure. The Azure Developer CLI, or AZD, is an open source tool that really significantly speeds up the deployment of actions to Azure. Now, with this means that AZD now understands the scope and the permissions that are defined by Azure deployment environments. So you can initialize projects within your Dev Center context, you can choose environment types, and you can deploy with these, all while adhering to your organization's governance policies. I'm also excited to announce a few key pieces of functionality coming to Azure deployment environments. First, to limit unnecessary costs, you can now schedule auto-deletion of generated deployment environments, which empowers you to configure ephemeral environments within a specific lifespan. We're also introducing integration between Azure deployment environments and Azure Advisor recommendations, which brings actionable suggestions to you so that you can improve the optimizations of the resources that you're consuming. Now, until now, leveraging ARM templates was really the only way to define your environments in ADE, and starting today, we have support for Azure Bicep also in private preview. Now, AZD lets you use templates so that you can quickly launch apps on Azure. These templates are like cloud recipes with sample code and pipelines and resources, and all of it's defined as infrastructure as code. And they cover real-world scenarios and include tools like editing and testing and deploying and monitoring. And they're available in any of your preferred programming languages. Now, we've talked a lot about tools that Microsoft can provide your team to enhance your developer productivity, but we also want to give your developers the building blocks that they need to empower your company and your customers. So what you heard Satya and others talk about this morning is how Azure is the best platform for building AI-powered applications. We're also releasing today an Azure AI reference templates that are all ready to be integrated into this powerful developer experience for Python and JavaScript and .NET and Java. Now, our customers have already used these templates to rapidly accelerate their time to production for intelligent applications, allowing them to accomplish in a matter of weeks with a single developer a process that would typically take months with teams of developers. You also saw in that demo how we can deliver on continuous quality. Playwright is a cloud-native, open-source web UI test framework that we've been working on over the past couple of years, and it's really taken the web developer community by storm. It allows you to test cross-browser, cross-operating system using your favorite programming language, and it's more resilient than your dad's web UI test framework, which means that there's no more flaky tests. So with this new service, you can ensure the quality of your applications at scale. You can parallelize tests, and you can run them across multiple browsers super quickly, optimizing both the inner and the outer loop. Now, we've talked about how collaboration between developers and operation teams leads to faster software delivery. DevOps combines the people and the processes and the technology to deliver continuous value to users. DevSecOps is the evolution of DevOps, where companies adopt security-first mindset by putting security into every phase of the software development lifecycle, from design to delivery. Now, DevSecOps is more important than ever given the prevalence of open source. 99% of enterprises use open source, and 80 to 90% of modern software supply chains are made up of open source. So while this gives teams an incredible common foundation to build from, it also means that they've invited thousands of developers into their code base. But they probably don't have great visibility into who all is contributing into that. So you can't really have DevOps without having the peace of mind that comes with DevSecOps. Now, 3 years ago, GitHub Advanced Security didn't exist, and now it's one of our fastest growing products yet, and for a reason, because security is critical. Now, last week at GitHub Universe, we announced that code scanning powered by our static analysis engine, CodeQL, and a broad community of security researchers now includes an auto-fix capability designed to help developers achieve faster response times and leading to less security debt and ultimately more secure code. Now, with this new feature, you're going to receive AI-generated fixes for CodeQL alerts in JavaScript and TypeScript for your pull requests. Now, we also brought GitHub Advanced Security to Azure DevOps as well. With this really super simple toggle-on experience, you can get the same code and secret scanning and dependency analysis, but for Azure DevOps repos as well. So we've talked a lot about how we're improving the individual developer experience and how we're accelerating your team's velocity with the power of the cloud and AI. And we've also talked about how this leads to happier developers who are less fatigued and more satisfied with their work. And that's because when we cut down on developer toil and improve efficiency across teams, we free up more time to create and innovate. And it seems obvious, but I just want to call out, removing developer toil increases developer productivity. It takes 30 times longer to fix a bug in production than to write a line of code right the first time. Now I'd like to invite Rashanik on stage to show you how we're bringing AI to pre-production and production environments to Azure to help developers and operation teams diagnose and resolve issues more quickly.
Thank you, Amanda. So our AI model helps both developers and operation teams. Let me get to the Azure portal to show you how we are helping our operation teams. So I see some slow response here in my eShop application. Let me open Azure Copilot and ask for help. So I type, my code is slow. Can you help? You'll hear more about Azure Copilot in the upcoming Ignite sessions. I'm just going to wait for my response here. And great.
Awesome.
It shows recommendations from code optimization to me. So I'm just going to open the top recommendation with the highest impact here. And then it shows the exact function that is using more memory that it needs to me.
So your team actually built this AI model. Can you tell me a little bit about how it was built?
Yeah, of course. So we have trained our AI models on internal Microsoft services. The profile traces that we took from Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Xbox, Microsoft 365, and many other internal services. So essentially, we've taken years of Microsoft expertise building services in the cloud at scale and codified them into an AI model.
Awesome.
So let me follow along and tell you how we are also helping developers with fixing these issues.
Yeah, it sure would be great if you could give me a suggestion on how to fix the issue that you found.
Yeah, so let's follow along as Copilot is telling us to create a GitHub issue. I'm just going to quickly choose the eShop app and then create a work item. This looks good to me, so I'm just going to click on Create. And then now I'm going to move to VS Code, where we are helping developers with fixing the issue. This functionality is available through Code Optimization, which extends GitHub Copilot Chat with code optimization expertise. So let me close this, open the chat. So Code Optimization adds new commands. So here I can see the issues that my operation teams just created. And then I can generate a fix for it. So Code Optimization brings me the function that I need to work on based on my call stack. It also generates a fix for me.
Awesome.
So I can just review the fix here, and then if I need to make any changes and adjustments, I can see it side by side. If I need to make adjustments, I can do that. So this looks great to me. I can accept the fix, save it, and commit it.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Can you show us how you how do you know that the fix that you had just accepted actually works?
Sure. So I can't show you the effect of this current fix, but what I can show you is a previous fix that we've done through this exact same scenario, the walkthrough that we just went through. So here I'm using Azure Load Testing, which enables you to generate a lot of load on your application. I have two setups, after fix and before fix, and both of them have 500 virtual users. So you can see that my response time is much better after the fix. And if I look at requests per second, my requests at my after fix can handle almost twice as many as requests as my before fix.
Awesome.
Indicating an improvement in performance.
So it's basically taking the intelligence that we've learned over thousands and thousands and thousands of .NET applications running in Azure, taking that expertise and encoding it in a model, and now making it available to Azure customers.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Happy
Thank you,
optimized
Ashana.
coding. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashanik. Now, you might have noticed something new in the Azure portal there, and I hope you guys are as thrilled as I am. Starting today, the power of chat-based AI assistants is coming to Azure to help you optimize your code. Thank you all. I hope you have a great Ignite, and thanks for being here.